Hi everyone, this is Dr. Visual, and before we start off this week, I have an urgent message, and I'm using this opportunity to talk to all of you in what I would almost call a PSA, because this is a threat facing our country, if not the entire planet. And I'm speaking about an invasion of our borders, the borders of the visual. You might recognize these individuals here. I consider them deviants. I'm sure some of them are good people, no doubt, but most of them are not. Most of them want to rape our images. Most of them want to take our images and distort them in such a way that we have no sense of authenticity left in our own visual reality. And I know, for years, as Dr. Visual, I've been fighting them. I've been trying to keep them away from our borders of the Vimeo-sphere, and to no avail. So I reach out to you today and say, stop this invasion. Now, you might be asking me right now, well, what's wrong with the glitch heroes? And so what if they distort our reality? And so what if occasionally they're not the best editors with their editing software? Well, I give you their latest movement and their latest effort. And yes, that's a 75 DPI movement. So the 75 DPI movement is one of the most sinister things I've heard of, and frankly, if we don't stop this, it's going to reach epic proportions. Their goal is nothing short of taking our reality and transforming it into a pixelated mess, into a mess of 75 or even lower DPI. Now, this has already started a movement among humans like yourself. You can see here people marching on the Capitol, marching in front of the Supreme Court, demanding that everything in our visual world have the lowest possible resolution, 75 DPI or lower. So I ask you now, is this the kind of reality you want to live in? And you might say, well, visual, what's so wrong with a little bit of diversity in our reality? Why does everything have to be 300 DPI? Well, check this out. And I ask you here, is this the reality you want to live in? Now, you might be thinking right now, this is an image from an 8-bit or 9-bit video game. No, this is actually Main Street, USA, small town, Indiana. This is actually a photo. This is a photo taken. No, this is actually a live shot of a reality from this small town. This is, yes, indeed, a live shot. And this shows you what will happen if we allow the glitch heroes to have their way and to continue their invasion and their DPI madness. What this means is they can not only transform all the images on our screens to 75 or lower DPI, they can actually do this with the imminent reality around us. It's a horrible form of black magic that they use to corrupt the Mimeosphere and defeat my efforts as Dr. Visual. So if you have any ability, please reach out to your congressperson, reach out to your community members, talk to those in your churches, and tell them about this horrible invasion that has been started by the glitch heroes. Okay, I know that was a little bit intense, but let's get into some happier things this week. So I wanted to talk to you about an opportunity to read more of my perspectives on memes and visual reality. So for some time I've been working with a number of publishers trying to develop really my memoir. We haven't been able to come up with a title for the memoir, so in spite of this, we decided to do a secondary project, and this was to focus on creating a guide so all of you could learn more about memes. I just want to share this with you. There's no pressure to buy this. It retails for about $99.95. There is a discount code. If you ask me later, I can get that to you. I have a 3% discount code that is applicable to any students in higher education who also have once visited the Mimeosphere. So let me know if that applies to any of you. Now, the Dr. Visual's Guide to Memes, Unraveling the Art of Digital Communication, is one of those books that I think you'll find is timeless. We'll talk about viral sensations. We're going to talk about some classics out there. So the boyfriend with the girlfriend looking at the woman on the street meme, the Shiba Inu, all those kind of famous ones, and we're going to even delve into some new ones. We're going to cover the evolution of memes, the anatomy of them, and then we're going to talk at length even on creating your own memes. So maybe you want to get funky with your friends and impress them. This is the kind of thing, frankly, that really I think could be a great holiday gift or birthday gift. We're going to talk about memes in society, not in the way that these visual anthropologists talk about them, but more in the sense of why we want to love memes and love all that comes from the memeosphere. And then we're going to talk about some classics, some case studies, and really delve into everything that you can imagine learning about as a meme enthusiast. So if you're curious about this and you want to understand more about the kinds of things that shape our online world and get some really valuable insight from, well, frankly, someone who's an expert, I definitely recommend that you check out my guide to memes. This was, I know, a little bit of a hard sell here, but I wanted to mention this because I think it's an opportunity here to talk about some work that's non-academic and that has made an impact with some people, particularly people for some reason on the West Coast. I'm not sure why. Now, it's also important to point out that in terms of my legitimacy, because some of you have questioned in the online discussion boards, well, what the heck do I know about visual culture? And what right do I have to invade your class? Again, if you listened to my PSA earlier, the invasion is from the glitch heroes and those that support that 75 dpi or lower reality. But here's an example of my legitimacy. You actually won't see this on my resume. Yes, I actually used to work at a Blockbuster store. Now, I'm pretty disappointed with what happened with VHS and DVD media, and I know we're talking about streaming media, and I just want to assure you all that even though we've moved into this age of streaming media with TikTok and Netflix and YouTube, rest assured that the old Dr. Visual is still steady, has a steady eye, and is able to comprehend everything that's happening, even though some of the streaming media has gotten more complex. For example, if you've seen Bandersnatch, that very interesting Dark Mirror episode on Netflix where you can choose your own adventure and it has like millions of combinations, believe me, I had a hand in that. I had a hand in most of the things, I should say all of the things that you see in the visual reality. It just doesn't seem that way because it's sort of that push of change and progress and that feeling maybe that things are getting a little out of control. Now, I also want to tell you that I spend a lot of time in theaters. I have popcorn often. I try to get some snacks. It's not true that I sneak in snacks to any of these theaters, nor have I ever recorded a movie and shared it online on my 8mm camera. But I do want to say that I go to movies because I'm very interested in how people perceive the viewing experience. I know in an academic class like this, you'll talk about viewership, you'll talk about how other cultures around the world react to the cinema differently than maybe people in the US if you're taking this class and you're in the US. But I want to assure you that it's far more interesting to consider visual realities in some of the ways that I've considered them here in my observations inside theaters. Now, I want to share this with you. This is pretty emotional for me, so I'm just going to read it to you. I don't normally read these kinds of things, but I got very sad because I think with the growth of streaming services, we've seen a decline in movie theaters. We've seen scams out there where people try to sell you unlimited movie passes for $10 a month and you can watch as many films as you want. Hint, talk to me. I can connect you with any of the ushers at any of the theaters around the world. And for that matter, if you really wanted to, I could hook you up with some hard drives that have some really good content. But let me read this to you. Dear friends, as I sit in the darkened theater, surrounded by the flickering image of the screen, a pang of loneliness often strikes me. Despite the grandeur of the visuals and the collective experience of cinema, I find myself adrift in a sea of faces that are not mine. The laughter and gasps of others seem distant, and the vibrant world on screen only accentuates the solitude I feel. It's as though, in the midst of the grand spectacle and shared experience of the theater, I'm still alone in my thoughts, missing the connection that I yearn for. The theater, once a realm of boundless inspiration, now feels like a reminder of the quiet space that separates me, those that separates me from those around me. Sincerely, Dr. Visual. So you might think I'm being a bit melancholy here, but again, I really want to impress on you the fact that what's happened in our country, but I really want to impress on you the fact, but I really want to impress that we're being invaded by glitch heroes. And yes, the glitch heroes are responsible for the decline of theaters like these and forcing me into moments of solitude. In fact, are those glitch heroes in the back of this theater? I don't want to sort of start any conspiracy theories, but to me, those look like glitch heroes in the back of the theater. So, what I'm trying to say to you folks is the fact that we can attribute all this loneliness and solitude as we no longer go to theaters and we rely more exclusively on streaming services like Netflix and Hulu. We can blame this all on the glitch heroes. Now, I've taught a class or two in my time, as many of you know. I've also given seminars to the corporate world, and I try to teach others out there because really this is a dialogue. This is about creating a dialogue with others, and in my various efforts, whether I've done performance art styled here on the work of Yoko Ono and Fluxus artists like Dick Higgins, or I've done some of those corporate efforts, I've always said to myself, the most important thing is to connect with people and to say one thing that a lot of people attribute to Guy Debord when he said that our society is mediated by images and that all our relationships are mediated by images. It wasn't Guy Debord that actually created that idea. It was yours, none other, Dr. Visual. So I don't mean to intimidate you this week. Again, heed my words and my warning about the invasion of the glitch heroes, and I'll be back again. But for now, Dr. Visual is out.